Well, hello, everyone. I am your teacher coach. I'm here, though, now today as a woman. I'm here today to just have a conversation, something that's been on my chest. I've been having, I pontificate from time to time. If you ever watch anything that I do, every once in a while, I'll get this inkling of where I want to kind of like talk for 10 or 15 minutes about something, and then I record it and I put it on one of my pages or I put it in my group. Well, I've done away with the page, so I had to start over because I'm looking for my real tribe. I'm looking for people who are looking, who act and think and do the exact same thing that I do, and can't wait to be a part of what the new things that are about to happen, the TV show and all that stuff. But before we even get there, I've been doing a lot of internal work on myself. Okay, what that means is I've been taking a hard look about some things that I have done in my life and things that I wish I had done differently. And here's what I decided. There are three things that I think that women should stop doing to each other. Okay? There are three things that women, and if you haven't noticed, I am a woman, that we should stop doing to each other. Now, I wrote this list basically as a way, instead of me writing an article, I decided to do a video article instead because I wrote this list with me in mind. I wrote this list thinking about the things that I've done, thinking about the mistakes that I've made, and some of the friendships that I've had over the years. Now, this list took me about 18 months to cultivate because when things are happening in your life, you don't always have the language to figure out what's happening. You don't know, wow, that's disrespectful. Did that really just happen? Did I just, okay, how did I allow that? When did the feelings change for that? And so you have to go back when you have a disagreement with someone, or you have an argument, or you have a blowout, or you have a breakup with someone, or you have a relationship that goes bad. You always want to trace it back to the beginning. And so that's what I did here. In 18 months, it took me to get this list together. There are three things that we as women, and I won't just say black women, I'll just say women in general, need to stop doing to each other. Are you ready? I cultivated this list, and I made it an alliteration just to keep it simple and make sure that can make it easier to remember. How's that? Make it easier to remember. And the first thing that we as women need to stop doing with each other, especially our friends, is trying to change people. Please stop trying to change everyone in your trajectory. That is not your job. Do you know how much energy it takes to change human beings? If it was easy, everybody would do it. And if it was easy, we would need God. You cannot, and no one has. No one can, no one has, no one will ever be able to change another human being's behaviors, habits, bad habits, anything. People have to change because they want to. And I know you've heard this before. I know you know this fact. But yet we all are like knuckleheads about it. We all trying to we run head first into the brick wall and then get mad at the wall. No, it's not the wall that's the problem. It's us. Why do we think we can change people? And I say that because women do this thing where, and this has just been my experience. Again, I'm going to pontificate from the, chapters of my life that, they get to know you. And they do this thing where you're check, 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 check. They check your boxes. Okay. You check theirs, they check yours, you check theirs. That means, oh, she's nice to be with. Check. I like her spirit. Check. I like her energy. Check. We have the same things in common. Check. And then you get along, right? And then 3 or 4 years down the line, they get to know you really well. And then some of your flaws start to come out. Some of the things that are wrong with you and me start to come out, me included. And this thing happens with women that I have noticed. Not just all women, not all of my friends are like this, but this thing happens where it's like, you need to stop that. You need to quit that. You need to do that. You need to do that different. But I was like this when you met me. You know, the biggest fear in a lot of people is if I reveal my true self to you, if I reveal all of my faults and all of my flaws and all of my shortcomings, that you will accept me as I am. And if you don't accept me, that's like the fear of rejection, is that if I reveal myself to you, and if I show you all my vulnerable parts, and I open up to you, that you will reject what you really see. That's everybody's greatest fear. And when you do that, when you try to change people that you're close to, when you're trying to, emotionally manipulate people into being what you want them to be, it's like saying that you're not good enough. You're sending the universe and that person and everybody around you the message that I'm not good enough, and I don't think that something's not right with me, but let me fix you. That's what I learned from that. I learned that there's nothing wrong with me. relatively speaking. There's nothing wrong with me that's not human. I'm human. I have good days, bad days, good ups and downs. I have all kinds of normal human emotions. So there's nothing wrong with me per se. I'm normal. However, I don't like it when women get to know you and then they try to change you later on. I just think you smile too much. I just think you too friendly. I just think you should no and no and no. I worked really hard to get to this point where I like who I am. If it's a problem for you, you can go. Women need to stop trying to change their friends. Number two, criticize. Ooh, second C. Women who are extremely critical. What I've learned over the years, women who are extremely critical. Like, I don't like the way why are you wearing that hair? Ooh, orange. Oh, is that really the right color for you? If people who are extremely critical have very, very low self-images, self-esteem. They do. They do. It's people who find those kinds of flaws in every little just one thing that's wrong with your wardrobe, one thing that's wrong with your hair, and they don't like this and they don't like that, and they openly criticize you, whether it be in public or in private. There's something going on in the back of their psyche where they're not happy with themselves. Period. Period. We can argue about it later, but I promise you, every single person that has ever criticized me that I've had to cut loose because they criticize something that they don't like about me, it has to do with them, more about them than it has to do about me. I had a woman tell me in an interview that could I please remove these earrings because they were bothering her, they were distracting her. And being who I am, I took those earrings off and got some that were bigger and more gaudy and more shiny because I want to be the biggest distraction you've ever seen in your life. That's not my job to make you feel better about my earrings. That's not my job to cut my light down so it doesn't offend you. Your job is to go find some shades. And we're just at that point now. People can say, and it's usually women that can say the most mean and cruel things to each other, and it just becomes a norm for that to be okay. Case in point, all of these little housewife shows. I can't stand to watch it because these people are supposed to be friends with each other, and they say the most cruel things to each other, and that's supposed to be the norm. I learned a long time ago with my family, growing up in this family where everybody criticized each other, that that is not a form of love. It's not. It's actually the opposite. It's a form of self-hatred being projected onto another human being. Okay. Now there's a huge difference between someone who's being criticized, who's very critical and judgmental of another person, and a person who is, that corrects in love. That's different. That's different. If my boob was hanging out on this thing and my friend pulled me aside and said, girl, I think you should cover up your boob. That's not appropriate. You're a school teacher. This is going out on a nationwide station. You should not do that. That's different because she loves me. She wants to cover me. She doesn't want to see me embarrass myself. So she's going to help me get something that's a whole different can of wax. And you, as is instinctually, know the difference. You know the difference. Okay. And that's the second C. Third C, compete. Women, we need to stop competing with one another. It's just not that serious. It's just not. There's enough room in this galaxy for everybody to shine. I used to have a friend who was a one-upper. I call her a one-upper. I'm looking at her face in my head right now. She's a one-upper. You know what a one-upper is? She's a one-upper. I don't care what kind of news you have. Good news, bad news, hers is better. If you have bad news, hers is worse. If you have good news, hers is better. Well, girl, how you doing today? I'm fine. How are you? Oh, just got a promotion. You did, girl. I got 2 promotions last week. Oh, that's nice. How's your boyfriend doing? Oh, he's great. He just got another job. Oh, my boyfriend got another, and my husband got another job. Both of them got another job. Is that really necessary? You should not be comparing yourself to anybody else on the planet. Everybody's here on their own journey. And if my journey is different than your journey, and my journey is different from your journey, and we all have different lanes that we are occupying at the time, why can't we all just be happy for each other? If we're all and just thinking about the lane thing that we keep saying, stay in your lane, be in your lane, get in your lane, all this lane. We don't even have to all be going in the same direction, and it's not a race. If you going to the east and I'm going to the west, it's not a race about who's going to get there first. You're going in a different direction. That's okay. That's quite all right. But we do this thing with each other where we compare each other, we compare ourselves to our sisters, And if I'm not doing what she's doing, then maybe something's wrong with me. And if she's not doing what I'm doing, then we go back to number one, which is I need to tell her that she needs to change that and figure out where she needs to be more like me. You know, where do we get that? Okay. The last thing I want to add to this list is the reason why I came up with this is because, you know, I've run into a few women, not all women. Let me be clear, not all women, not all Black women, not all women that I've ever contacted in my whole life. I have some really great friends who love me as is. I've come into some contact with some people who remind me of my triggers from my childhood. And in those triggers that I learned, you know, through prayer, through meditation, and through counseling and therapy, when those triggers come up and I recognize them, it's time for me to either make different choices about the people I hang out with, or it's time to protect myself. Right? I don't need to be raised, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't. I'm grown with grown children and grandchildren. I don't need you to raise me. But when you try to change people, when you criticize them in public, and when you're always trying to compete and try to prove that you're better than them, then there's something going on with you. There's nothing going on. There's nothing wrong with me. And it took me 25 years to get to that conclusion. 25 years. And I write this list and I make this video article, this video diary, for the future people that come into my life, so they can know that these are things that are complete turnoffs for women. As strong as we are as women and the powerful we have as females, we do not have to compete with one another about who's better at this, and this. If you want to get 25 degrees with your, go for it. I want to own a business. If I want to own a business versus you going to school, then I should be celebrated for wanting to own a business. You should be celebrated for going to school. Why does it have to be? Well, I don't know why you would want to do that. You have to be careful about the energy that you invite into your world, into your circle, because sometimes it doesn't manifest itself until growth is intimate. When there's growth that's about to happen, people see that and then they either shave themselves off, because I've had people do that as well, just stop calling, or they reveal these three things in their nature. I do not do criticism well. I do not do criticism in public. I do not do criticism just to be criticized. I don't do that. That's absolutely unnecessary. There is no such thing to me as constructive criticism. There's criticism that makes you feel good, that helps you in the long run, and there's criticism that is just there to destroy you, period. Seriously, I had a girlfriend once, this is my last story, who used to dog her husband out in front of us. We'd be playing cards and her, look at this dumbass motherfucker, look at him. And she would dog him out in front of us. And she thought that was the cutest thing ever. And I thought it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. And I really haven't talked to her since that night. Because what I realized really quickly is the way you do one thing is the way you do somebody. That person that you love the most is the way you're going to do me. And that's exactly what she did. She would talk about him and she'd fight and yell at him and say all kinds of ugly things. And she was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. He's so stupid. And eventually it got down to us, her friends. And she did that thing one time. One time she said something quite ugly to me in front of other people, and I haven't spoken to her since. She tries to speak to me, but I have not spoken to her since then, because it's unnecessary. There's something going on in your spirit, in your soul, and I don't owe you an explanation as to why I don't want to hang with you anymore. I just need to take care of myself and protect my peace and my own boundaries, and protect who I am and who I've worked so hard to be. Now, before I wrap up, I want to give you the solutions to these problems, because I think this is the part what took me 18 months to articulate. I already knew you can't change people. I already knew criticizing your friends, especially around other friends, is not cute. And I already knew that, competition amongst women is stupid. I already knew that. But some of the things we can do instead of, on the flip side. Okay, I've had to learn these lessons. Again, this list was created for me and with me and about me. Then it extended outside of me to the other people in my circle, and everyone else is expected to, kind of come to par. If you want to be in my life, you have to love me as much as I love me, period. But instead of trying to change your friends, think about covering them with compassion. If I'm having a bad day and I have a really, really bad attitude and I'm just like in a stink mood, instead of you trying to fix me, Pull me aside and say, she's just having a bad day, y'all. Just having a bad day. Do you want to leave? You okay? You sure? Okay. Instead of having, the talk with me in front of everyone, it says, "Oh, what's wrong with you? She got attitude. Something wrong with her. Something wrong with some." None of that. That's not necessary. If you really love me and if you're really my friend and you're really in my life to be with me, then cover me. Say, what's going on? And it's always better to do those kinds of things in private, always, because it's more sincere that way. When you do things in front of other people, it's usually for them. That's not for the benefit of me, it's for them. It's for the benefit of other people watching. Look at what a great friend I'm about to be. Hey girl, you all right? You doing okay? No, no, no. Pull me aside. Let's talk about it in private. Not that hard. Cover your friends in compassion. Cover them. When they're not around, just say, you know what? She was just having a hard day. I don't know what's going on with her, but she's really a good person. Normally she's great. She has a wonderful attitude. Yeah. Instead of criticizing people or criticizing people that are around you, I want you to think about counseling them with a cure. Counsel with a cure. Again, I'm sticking with the C theme on this one, counseling them with a cure. Now, when you have that conversation that I just mentioned privately, you say, is everything okay? Because I noticed, what's going on with your wardrobe? What's going on with your hair? Even if I don't like what you're saying, it's private. It's between me and you. I know you care. I know you care enough to pull me aside and have this conversation. I've had people do that with me, and I've had to do that with other friends. This did not come easy, and this lesson that I'm teaching, this that I'm saying now, did not come easy because I messed up a lot of friendships this way because I didn't know how to have a conversation with my friend. I didn't know how to quote unquote correct them with love. I didn't know how to do that. So it would always either come out as, I don't know what's wrong with her and I don't know how to fix it. So I would just avoid them. Right. And so then that just creates more distance between you and the friend. And it's just not good. But when I had someone pull me to the side, take me in the hallway, give me a hug, say, I love everything about you, but what is going on with your attitude? The other day you was kind of short with me on the phone. Is everything okay? Don't go in there angry. Don't go in there pissed off. Don't go in there thinking about yourself. One of the other stories that I love to tell is that think about the friend that you have not talked to in a while and they did something to hurt your feelings. They did something that you did not like. Think about that friend for just a second. You don't know what was going on with them because people didn't know what was going on with me. I tried to explain it, but it was hard. But I didn't have the language to articulate the emotional turmoil that was going on inside of me. But try to put yourself in their position and try to be, and I hate to see I want to use that word cover again, but try to cover their faults with love and try to put yourself in their mind state and say, maybe there's something going on that I don't know about. Lord, protect them. That's when prayer comes in handy. Protect them, heal their heart. Get in there, God, in the places that I can't see. Is it difficult? So much easier than having a fight or throwing a drink in somebody's face in public because I heard you've been talking about me. All of that stuff is so superficial and so unnecessary. Lastly, instead of competing with your friend, praise them. I couldn't find another C. Congratulate them, I guess. Compete instead of competing. Congratulate. Let's say you have some news you want to share. You got your promotion. And your girlfriend comes in, oh, I got something to tell you. Oh, I can't wait to tell you this, girl. I found $100 in my car. What? That is so good. What you gonna do with it? Because your instinct is, well, I don't want to talk about that. Let me tell you let me tell you my news first. Instead of competing, saying I got something better than $100, say congratulations. What you gonna do with it? Okay, drinks on you. Make it a joke, make it be happy. Yeah, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. Because there's nothing worse than sharing good news with a friend and they're not happy for you. There's nothing worse than sharing bad news with a friend and they're like, well, mine is worse. I remember grieving for my grandmother and this one friend, yeah, I went through that. Well, last night I thought I heard her voice. Yeah, I went through that. You gonna hear her voice. Yeah, you gonna hear that. And I heard that. And it was very dismissive. Same friend called me 3 days after my grandmother passed and was like, well, you need to get out the bed. You need to stop crying about that. Get out the bed. I do. I can't grieve. You sure? It was very, very, my grief was more than your grief. Because when my mom died, I was, I was already in the show. Can you just, Some people have a hard time being humble enough to say, okay, it ain't about me right now. Let me be about that. And then next time it'll be about me. Some people have a hard time with that. I used to until I've gotten stepped on enough. And then I've done some of the stepping. And I'm tired of making the same mistakes over and over again. So I'm making this video as a video diary, video article, video something that says, listen, I got the formula right. I'm not hard to love. I'm not. Women, we need to do better with each other. We are the most powerful force in the universe. Women are the only human beings on the planet that God needs to recreate life. You know that? He needs our womb to recreate life. That's a powerful position to have in the universe. And yet we use it against each other all the time, every day. And then we call it friendship. It is not. My friends would never do that. If you love me, you love me as is. Like I said in the beginning, when you met me, you were checking boxes. Don't fix any of those boxes. What you see is what you get. You love me as is, faults and all. Because that's the way I love me. And that's all I want to say today. 3 reasons why women need to stop doing these things to each other. 3 solutions as to what they can do instead. And I'm going to let that fly. I'll let that just simmer into the universe. On July 1st, I have my first podcast premiere. It's called The Burnout, where I talk to teachers, education professionals. I've talked to doctors, therapists, spiritual healers about the problems in education and how we can fix them and how we can fix them together. A lot of the people that I'm interviewing are saying the exact same things, but they're saying it in different voices. They're saying it using different avenues to get that healings that we need or some of the mindset changes that we need. And I love some of the conversations that I had, but I can't wait to have more. So if you want to still join the burnout for season 1, there is still time. I have 2 weeks left. I can get about 16, 17 more episodes in there if I have to. Otherwise, it's going to be done for me in the summer. My name is Kendria Johnson. I am your teacher coach. I make good teachers great by bringing them out of burnout back into a balanced life. And this has been On the Spot.